I can't believe I did that. Have you ever had one of those moments? I have. Hey, what's up? It's Matt with Iron Sharpens Iron. And I just wanted to talk to you today about your line in the sand. Now, we all have lines in the sand. We all have certain things that we swear we will never do. I certainly had my share of things that I promised myself and others that I would never do. I promised myself when I was young that I would never drink because my family history with alcoholism is pretty significant. So I swore I would never drink. Then I did. And then I always promised myself that I would keep it under control and I would never drink to the point of passing out or blacking out. Then I did. And then I promised myself I would never drive drunk. Then I did. Then I promised myself I would never drive so drunk that I would crash my car. And I did. And I almost killed myself. You see, I had all these lines in the sand, and those lines never changed. Those lines never moved. The only thing that changed was me. And what's interesting is as I look back over it now and as I look back over my past, I can still see those lines. And I can see how I've changed. The funny thing is over the last couple of years, I've really gotten to a point in my life where I am more like the person I was when I first graduated the police academy and got into law enforcement. I am more like that person today than I ever have been in the last 15 years. There's been a lot of healing and a lot of reflection and searching myself over the last several years to get to this point, but I can acknowledge the mistakes I've made. I can also see how I've changed, and I can also see the lines in the sand of where I've been, and that kind of sets where I want to go back to because I really like the person I used to be, and I think the people in my life like that person as well. So I want to challenge you today because maybe this is just me, but I doubt it. Whenever we have a line in the sand that we swear we will never cross, and then we cross it, we know we did something we didn't want to do. We feel shame and guilt many times because we know what we did wasn't right. We know what we did compromised who we are. And it's easy in that moment to justify our own decisions and our own actions by saying something along the lines of, well, at least I didn't do this. You know, we compare ourselves and our bad choices to other people who make worse choices or other scenarios that are much worse just to make ourselves feel better and to minimize our own actions. You know, when I was drinking to the point of passing out or blacking out, I would frequently say, well, hey, at least I'm staying home and I'm not out driving drunk. But then I drove drunk. And then I would say, well, at least I didn't crash my car. So here's my challenge to you. If you find yourself in this pattern of, you know, escalating bad decisions or constant, you know, erosion of your character because of choices you're making, and you just get to a point where you're like, well, screw it, I might as well do this now. There's a way to add one very simple word to the end of every one of those sentences that can really open our eyes and show us where we are headed in a very realistic and powerful way. And that is simply add the word yet to the end of one of those sentences. Well, at least I'm not driving drunk. Yet. Well, at least I didn't crash my car. Yet. Well, at least I didn't hurt anybody. Yet. Well, at least I didn't kill anybody. Yet. And you can see adding the word yet to the end of those justification phrases really does put into perspective the crash course, no pun intended, that we are on with a very bad outcome because of our decisions. And as long as we have somebody worse to compare ourselves to, we're going to keep making bad decisions. Once we realize that we can very quickly and easily become that person that we do not want to become, then it's a lot easier to stop, change our actions, change our decisions, change our thought processes, and get out of that pattern before it's too late. This is something I wish I knew a couple years ago. Unfortunately, I had to learn this the hard way. You know, between substance abuse and alcoholism, my behavior became pretty erratic. My brain became pretty scattered, and not only did I alienate people, I started making some very questionable decisions that even though I didn't do the crazy serious things that I was accused of, I was obviously inching my way closer to possibly being able to do something like that. At the very least, I caused the people around me, who are pretty intelligent, reasonable people, I caused them to believe that I either did whatever they thought I did or whatever they accused me of, or they thought I was possible of it. And that's something that 15 years ago, nobody would have ever even thought of, nobody would have ever accused me of. But because of this progressive justification of bad decisions, I got closer and closer to being the type of person that they actually thought I was. And my challenge today is to add that word yet to the very end of every single one of those justification phrases that you have, so you can see where you are headed. Because it's easy to say, well, at least I didn't do that because that is in the future. That is somebody else. That is not us. Until it is. And when you add that word yet, you can see how every decision we continue to make progressively, constantly, continually gets us closer to being that person in that situation that we promised we would never be. You see, when we set a line in the sand and we say, I will never do this, I will never do whatever, that is 100% accurate. Those lines never change. Problem is, we change. Every single thing that happens to us in life changes our perspective, changes our perception of reality around us, changes who we are fundamentally. Now, hopefully we continue to make good decisions so that every time we make another decision, we have a host of good decisions and experience to fall back on and to learn from, because the person we are today is not the person we were yesterday. And hopefully the choices we make yesterday set us up to be a good person today, but that's not always the case. So keep that in mind. Those two things. Your line in the sand will never change, and the decisions you make today create the person you will be tomorrow. Now, if I look back over the past, I can still see all those lines I drew in the sand of things I swore I would never do. And as I look over my life over the past 15 years and I slowly heal and get back to that person, those lines are still there. And at this point in my life today, I can say I will never drink. Just like I said when I was 20, 21, 22 years old, right before I started. I need to stay this person by making good decisions today so that I continue to have a reason to not drink tomorrow. Now, when I say I will never do X, that's a two-way street. That can be used for good or bad. Well, at least I didn't crash my car yet. You can also use it in a positive way. Well, I don't have $1,000 in my bank account yet. I don't have $10,000 yet. And you can slowly motivate yourself into doing the types of things that'll get you where you want to go in a positive way, as well as preventing you from getting where you want to go or where you don't want to go in a negative way. So keep that in mind. Those two or three key phrases from today. This is really what I want to drill home. 1, the power of yet. Well, at least I didn't do this yet. Well, keep making those decisions and you will. 2 is that your lines in the sand never change. You change. We change. I change. And we have to make a constant decision every single day to be the type of person that will never cross that line. Those lines are always going to be there. And the good news is we can go back to the person we used to be. But it takes a lot of work, and it's a lot easier to stay the type of person that will never make those bad decisions today and tomorrow than it is to make those decisions and learn from it and then try to go back. It's possible, but it's easier to not do it in the first place. And the third point that I really want to remind you of is that the choices you make today shape who you are tomorrow. And if you want to make good choices tomorrow, you have to make those good choices today. And that's something that I lost sight of, unfortunately. So I guess really I want to leave you with this. The choices we make today shape who we are tomorrow, and use the power of yet to stop those negative behaviors before they progress to something that we can't control. If you've ever had a time in your life where you've learned from your mistakes and you've wanted to help others, put in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to talk about it. I'd love to have a discussion about that. If you've used that word, the power of yet, in your life, let me know in the comments below how that's worked out for you or how you've seen it work for other people. Until next time, this is Matt with Iron Sharpens Iron. Thanks for watching.